Hi, it's Maud and Jay from Tell Your Trail,
Hi.
and we're gonna have another trail talk, this time with Caroline. She hiked the Israel National Trail in 2018, and came about through some unforeseen circumstances where she actually wanted to travel to South America, but due to very bad weather, hurricane season, she had to change her plans. And with only 10 days to prepare, she decided to hike the Israel National Trail, and it wasn't a disappointment at all. She really enjoyed it, and that's what you can see in this talk that we have together with her. So yeah, we'll hope you will enjoy that one.
Absolutely. If you enjoy our trail talks, make sure that you subscribe below and hit the notification bell to keep up to date and hear when we release new trail talks. Enjoy!
Enjoy! Hi, Caroline. Welcome for being
Hi.
here, and awesome that you wanted to join us to talk about the Israel National Trail.
Well, you're welcome. I'm really happy to be here with you today.
Awesome.
Perfect.
That's great. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and where your passion for hiking came from?
I'm Caroline. I'm 23 years old. I'm working as a social worker in um, a boarding school for kids with autism and hyperactivity. Um, I started hiking when I was really young with my parents. So it was the typical Easter and autumn holidays in Germany when you go to the south, to the Alps in Austria. And so we hiked there a lot. And I think I was like a half-year old when I hiked. So I hiked in the belly bag of my mom the first time I was a half-year old. And so when I grow up, it was like every year a little bit more. So like I started with 1 hour of hiking and then 2 or 3, and it's got like more mountains. And yeah, when I got at the age of like 16 or 17, it was not so cool anymore, and I stopped hiking. And then I finished my college. I finished my first year of work. I saved a lot of money, and actually I had the plan to go to South America. But my plans, so my flight got cancelled because of Irma and Jose. It was like a huge hurricane in this time around Jamaica in 2017. Yes, it was 17 when I started to travel. And I got really, yeah, so I stayed like at home and just like waited for some new informations if I could fly or if I cannot. Or so and my mom brought a book home. I cannot recommend it, so I will not say the name. But it said like basically it said how to hike in the Holy Land. I was like, okay. So I started reading, and it was like the fourth or fifth capital, and I said like, okay, now I need to stop here, and I just need to fly to Israel, and I want to hike this trail by myself. I don't want to read this book anymore because this guy's a little bit crazy, but it was so intense what he said about the trail, and I was like, I have the time. I'm just waiting to go to South America, and I don't know if I go like 2 months or 3 months, or yeah, when it's like all over and open for tourists again. So I decided to hike, and this was a really spontaneous idea to go to Israel.
For sure.
It took me like, so I think I booked a flight for like 8 days later or 9 days later. So in like 9 days, I prepared everything for a through hike. Like normal people do it for like a half year, and they do like training hikes and stuff like this. And I was like, no, I can do it. Don't worry. And this is like basically how I started my trail. I had 7 days and a lot of packages who came in, and a lot of shops who just like said, "Hi, I need your help. I'm going on a through hike. Can you explain me what I need?" Yeah. So this was my start.
Wow. We had like a question prepared of regarding your preparation, but that was very
Sorry. I got really passionate when it's about the Israel National Trail because I learned really, really a lot, and I really appreciate the time there. So it was already a really funny start, and everyone was like, "Oh, Carol, you're so crazy. This is like you, but it's a little bit too crazy." Yeah.
Wow, and can you walk us through some of the things that you learned along the way?
I think I really learned a lot. This was the first through hike or long distance hike that I've ever done. Normally, it's like the day hiking with my parents or with some friends. Um, and I think everything that I learned from the trail and from the people there. I really learned to trust in people and to trust in my how do you say, belly feeling. So I can like choose in seconds if I trust someone or not. We need to do a lot of hitchhiking to get some resupply at the next supermarket, and then hitchhike back again. And yeah, I really learned to trust in the people there. I learned what it's mean to have some trail magic, because this is like really nice to have people on the trail who just say like, so for example, one morning I was hiking a really, really small town. So I started normally at like 5 o'clock in the morning because then it's not so hot.
Yeah.
It was like 40 degrees normally. I don't know what it is like in, I don't even know the Celsius, so 40 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
So in the morning it was only like 25 to 30, so really, really comfy to hike the first 3, 4, 5 kilometers before you have your breakfast. So I was in a really, really small village, and I tried to be as quiet as possible when I crossed this village. And there was a grandma who was standing in the garden and was like watering the plants, and she was shouting all over the street like, Shalom Mashlamcha. So how are you doing? Are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry, I'm okay. And she was like, no, please stay there. And then she came back and she had like some water and cookies and apples and bananas. I was like, yeah, the next kilometers will be tough, I know, but you can do it. And do you want to come in? I was like, no, I need to take the cold time now to hike. But thank you so much. And yeah, it was like all the small meetings and the people that I met there who made this trail so special, and who teach me that the world is actually good and it's not that bad world that everyone says. Yeah, I think one another big thing that I learned is that there are a lot of conflicts and a lot of crisis in the Near East. And especially around Israel, with like all the settlements and the West Bank and Palestine, and like all the countries who coming there together. I learned that there's not only black and white. There are not only the good people and the bad people. There's not only the Jewish and the Palestine, because after the trail, I spent some time in the West Bank in a refugee camp, and so I saw both sides, and I could talk to both sides. And I hiked with a lot of soldiers in Israel. I don't know if you know the system. They have to do service, and they need to how to say, they need to serve. So the girls, I think it's around 2 years, and the boys around 3 years that they have to be in the army. And a lot of them says, I need to do this trail to love my country again. And then there are others who hike this trail who says, okay, I'm doing this trail because I love my country so much. And you have like all these different people with different opinions. And so I really learned that there's not only black and white, especially in this situation. And especially if you look at the political and social system, there's not only good and bad. There's always a between. And
yeah.
There's always this gray area.
Exactly.
Not always hear about in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
Is it then that because you said so many friendly people, is it that the friendly people then advised you not to hike the desert section on your own, or was that just a gut feeling you had yourself?
So this was my like the first big hike that I ever done before.
Yeah.
So I never done a big hike before, and during the first 900 kilometers, I had always some sections, some small desert sections. But the last 200 kilometers, there are a lot of parts where you need to order water catches. So you pay a company that they drop your water there, give you some GPS coordinations, and you need to find your own water in the desert. And just so at the middle of my hike, I was a long time where I was alone, and I really appreciated to be alone and to have like all this experience. But I was too afraid to go alone into the desert because I think I didn't trust myself enough because I was too afraid that the system failed, that my GPS coordination couldn't find any connection. I was afraid that I messed up some coordination or that I messed up my navigation. So I decided to finish my trail in the Dead Sea. So it was really nice to hike. So my final spot was Arad, and Arad is directly on the Dead Sea, and you have a beautiful view because it's a cliff, and you can see you can stand on the cliff and just see like the beautiful Dead Sea and the border who's going to Jordan, and yeah, it's a really nice, really nice place. So it was fine to finish my trail there. Of course, 2 days before I arrived there, I met some people who said like, yeah, of course you can join us and you feel free in our company. They can put like 5 more liters on top of water. Don't worry, you can hike with us. But I already had like other plans. I already decided to go to Egypt and to Palestine, and so everything was already booked and planned. So I said, okay, there's a reason that it came like this, and it is nice to know that I need to come back and I need to finish this trail. I met some lovely people on the way back who so I had the chance to hike in the desert with them, but only for day hikes, not on the in the staying in the night. And doing the full part. But I'm really looking forward to do this final part one day.
Oh, that's amazing. But then again, 900 kilometers is like an amazing achievement already.
Yeah.
And then finishing at such a beautiful cliff. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it is always the same at the final part in Eilat. Eilat is so you walk from the north. So no, there's two options to hike the Israel National Trail. If you go in the spring, you go from south to north because you go with the hot weather. So when the hot weather comes from the south, you try to escape the hot weather. And when you're in October or November, you hike from north to south to go with the cold weather down. And the final spot in Eilat in the south is also a cliff. It's beautiful. It's also hard if you start from south to north because you have like an altitude of like 300 meters to do it, or 500 meters to do it on the first day. So it's like really tough. I can show you the how to say. I can show you the meters later. I have the book next to me, the Bible. I can tell you later. But yeah, it was another cliff that I finished my trail, but there's another real cliff that I need to be to finish my trail like officially. Yeah.
Did you already make plans for that? Well, it's probably different in this situation currently, but
yeah, in the pandemic, it's a little bit hard, a little bit tough to travel. I would like to come back, but it's not like fixed. So I didn't know if I'm going back like in 1 year or 2 years, but I'm sure it will be in the next, within the next 5 years. I will do it definitely. Yeah.
Nice. And how was your experience hiking the trail alone?
Um, Actually, I wasn't so much alone that I would wish, or how I wish to be alone.
Yeah.
Because you always meet people. A lot of people think like, oh, you're so alone. I was like, nope. Sometimes I need to escape to be alone. But this was like the best part, to be alone, because I think a lot of hikers experience this kind of mantra and this kind of meditation that you get in when you just hike and hike and hike and do like all these kilometers by you and yourself.
Yeah.
And you have the time and the space to think about so much. Especially at this time, I was at a point that I finished my school. I already worked as a teacher or educator for 1 year, and I was and I quit my job, and I said like, okay, I want to go on a world trip and do like 1 year of gap year, or I don't know how you call it.
Mhm.
Mm, and at the beginning I was really struggling because I really liked my job and I really liked the company that I was working with in the kindergarten, and I had a lot of time to think about me and my future and my past and all the decisions that I made the last few years. And actually I really enjoyed the time being alone. The first night alone was really tough. I think I slept like 2 hours, not more. Always like 30 minutes. Then I hear something, and I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. But I really started to calm down and to feel like the sounds who coming in and the noises getting more common. And after a few weeks, I already felt more safe outside than being in a city or surrounded by people.
Mm.
Yeah. Another thing that I learned, that all the wild animals are not coming closer to 2 meters around you because they're maybe interested, but they're also scared.
Yeah.
And the human system works pretty well in the nature, so I could sleep like really deep. And then when they're getting, we had a lot of coyotes and wolves.
Yeah.
Especially in the desert part, there are a lot of wolves, and you wake up if they're closer than 2 meters, and it's really interesting because these animals are not as smart as you think, because they're really loud and they trap on every kind of wood that they can find and everything that makes like noises. And, yeah. So I felt really safe and protected, but of course the first few days alone was a challenge.
Yes, I can
Yeah.
definitely imagine.
What was the best part on the route?
Oof, tough question. I think one of the real milestones is when you arrive at the coast and at the beach. There are 30 kilometers that you just walk on the beach straight to the skyline of Tel Aviv. So you have for 30 kilometers, you just have the skyline in front of you, and you just hike in the sand, in the water if you want to. And I think this was, after all this time in the mountains and on the fields and all the beautiful grape farms, and it was nice to arrive on the cliff, on the beach, and to finally see the ocean. And I think this was one of the most beautiful parts. And then after the ocean or the beach part, there's a part when the landscape switch from a forest and from the flat part to the mountain part and to the desert part. And especially at these areas where the weather changed and where the landscape changed, I really like this, because you can feel how it changed, and to see the difference after so many days and kilometers in one landscape. You see another one, and this is also really impressive in Israel because you see everything. You see the mountains with, if you have some luck, with some snow on top, so like a white top covered mountains. Then you have the beach part, and then you have the desert part. So you can take like everything, so every kind of landscape you can see doing this 1,100 kilometers around. They change sometimes because they need sometimes to change the route. Yeah.
Yeah, we did a bit of research, and indeed, the one says like 1,100, the other one says 1,200, and there's 1,000, and we're like, oh well.
It's like it's
right.
more or less. Yeah. It's like super funny because actually the country is only 500 kilometers long, and so to fit this 1,000 kilometers in, you need to do like a lot of this, like everywhere. just to fit like 1,000 kilometers, you need to like shrink it in. And,
for sure.
Yeah. Sometimes it was like, there's another side, but it says we need to walk like this before we can go there. Just to do the kilometers that you have to do on this day. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
And of course, this is like a historical and political situation. There are a lot of settlements, and if there's sometimes they decide, oh, let's do a new settlement, or let's do some new houses here and there, and then you need to they switch the road, and yeah. So it changes from time to time. But if you're good in like online researches, and there are a lot of Facebook groups, you see all the updates part, and they upload it always the new map. Yeah.
So are the people quite used to having hikers walk through like their villages?
Yeah. They really appreciate the hikers, and in Israel it's a little bit tough to get in and to get like the full visa. I mean, I'm German, so I have like a passport who is really kind to most of the countries. So I know that I'm really I'm really privileged with my passport. But if you arrive in Israel, and they normally ask you, so there's a security and the border and whatever it's called, they ask you how long do you want to stay, and normally you get only the weeks that you really stay, and they don't extend your visa more and more. And I said to the officer, like, I don't know how long I will need. And he said, like, why? And I said, like, yeah, I will walk the Shvil Israel. This is like the name of the Israel National Trail. And he was like, wow, I wish you all the best, and be blessed, and I will see you in 4 months, or 3 months. So I got like the maximum of visa that you can get, because you don't know how long it takes. And to be a Shvilist, it's called, like the hikers who walk the Shvil, they're Shvilists. They really have a lot of privilege, and they are appreciated. And if you hike through a village, there are always train angels, and they always try to support you. And they cheer you up. They ask you, how are you doing? Like, the most I only met, not most of it, I only met people who were friendly and open-minded to the hikers, and not like mad that you camp wild or do stuff like this. They always say, like, be careful, be protective with our environment. There are some protection in nature areas where you're not allowed to camp, but if you respect these rules, you have no issues at all. But I had no issues at all. I don't know of the experience of other people. But the people that I met, and the other Shvilists on the trail, they also said they only had good, experienced, and lovely people. And yeah, the people are also like not trained to see the hikers, but I have one more situation, if it's okay, to explain. Maybe it takes some more time. So it was also one other morning. It was really early, like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, and there was a mom who was preparing the kids and to put it in the car to bring it to the kindergarten. And in all this trouble situation, like having 4 kids around running, and with like all the school bags and like all the lunch boxes who I saw like in the garden, was like all the mess that you normally have in your day-to-day day. this mother stopped in the middle of her like job and turned around and saw me and said like, "Oh hi, how are you doing? Do you need some help?" Like, I don't know if a German woman, especially a mom who's like in a hustle in the morning, would stop doing their job in the morning just to ask a hiker, "How are you? How is your trail? Like, do you need a tea? Would you like to come in?" No, I think this is not this wouldn't happen in Germany at all. But there I saw it like a lot of time where people like stop doing their job, their day-to-day business, just to ask if I need support or if I'm doing fine. So yeah, I think the Israelis are really kind and friendly. Um, I also had like a lot of Arabs who supported me with like the tramping and like the hitchhiking. Yeah, it's a really mixed culture, and I really feel I think they're really open-minded and support the hikers there.
Yeah, I feel that that's definitely something in the area, or in many other cultures, still a lot more prevalent, like helping others. We're from the Netherlands, and then yeah, it's the same thing as in Germany. I think people will be much more on their own, but we've been in many different cultures, and then especially when we lived in the Middle East as well, people just are so helpful. And in the beginning, you're like, "What's happening? Is this normal, or is this okay?" Or, but it really is them being really friendly. There's nothing behind it.
Yeah.
And that really changed our perspective and how we treated others as well, for sure. Yeah, it's really good to
Yeah,
see that.
yeah.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I thought like, yeah, okay, I'm a white, blonde, female hiker. I'm in alone, so I'm like in the worst situation that you can think of, or in the like, I'm yeah. So I thought, okay, they did just do it because I'm a woman and I'm alone and I'm white. But when I hiked with some other guys or with some other Arabs or whatever religion and culture, they were all so kind, and it doesn't matter if what kind of religion or gender. They're really open-minded, and I also try to always remind myself when I see someone on the street, like, do you have like 30 seconds? I think everyone has 30 seconds just to pause and to say like, okay, are you okay? Do you need help? Just to give it back what I got from this lovely people on this trail.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's
that
nice.
has a longer term effect as well.
Yeah.
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 Perfect. So I'm very curious because I think you have some gear next to you. Is that
I just place my stuff next to me. Actually, some of them are new because the old one. So I told you that I had like 9 days to prepare, and I also was on a world trip, so I was on a budget. So I didn't bought at the first time. I didn't bought the most expensive gear. But something that I really appreciated during this time were my hiking poles. I don't know in English. What is it?
Yeah, hiking.
Okay. And I really, so they're a little bit more expensive, and I got like the cheapest one that I could got, and they broke last year, so at least they survived 3 years, and they survived the international trail. But but I got new one, and they're just in the place for the other blue one that I hiked with. And I really liked it. It was really good to have something to get like up the mountains, and I got really quick when I started to really use them. How I told you before, like this was the first long distance hike that I done. So it was also a challenge for me to see how many kilometers I can hike. And when I realized, okay, you can really use them, even if you're just at the straight part, just to get like forward and quicker, it helped me a lot. The next thing that I have here is, of course, my backpack. I got this one before, and I just said like, okay, let's try it, and it worked out pretty well. It's a 46 leader Osprey Kyle. This is not the most lightweight one, but it was one of the lightest one that I got during this time. And when I bought it, I didn't plan to hike so much. It was only for like, oh, you go like for 2 or 3 days, maybe in the forest, but not like on a trail like this. It was the perfect size. Actually, I could go like one size smaller if I wanted to, but it was nice to have the space just just to throw sometimes just all in and just to start my hike and to organize myself a little bit later during the day, not in the morning at like 5 o'clock.
How much food did you have to take with you at certain sections for how many days?
I think the longest so during the first 500 kilometers, you can resupply like every second to every third day. So it's like really relaxed. But I started to try and to play with this time and with all my food and just to see like how much can I carry. Do I really need to go into a city if I'm just like relaxed and in myself and in my middle to stay like 2 or 3 more days in the nature? So the longest part, I think it was 6 days that I didn't resupply and just carried my food with me. I had a basic weight for like 3 days of food and around 4 to 5 liters of water minimum. And I had a basic weight of 9 kilos, I guess. So without the water, I was around 5 to 6 kilos. But I need to say that I didn't. I started with a tent, but I dropped it after 5 days because I realized I don't need a tent. I can just sleep under the sky with a mattress and my sleeping bag, and I don't need more. The weather was nice. I had during this 1.5 months, I only had one time rain, and it was during the day, so I never needed my tent. So I dropped it after 5 days at the house of a friend who picked me up for some of the holidays in Israel. So it was really lightweight because I didn't need to carry any tent. It was only my sleeping bag and my mattress that I carried with me. Yeah. And another thing that I placed here is my water bladder. I know that a lot of people hike with bottles, but when I started, I already had this with me because I had a really good guy at the hiking shop, and he said like, okay, you need a water bladder, or however you call it. It's really funny because in Israel they say it's a schlucker, and to schluck is the German word for swallow. So it's like a swallow bag. So it's really funny because it's this typical German Jewish mix that they still have in some words. Not everywhere, but like you find a lot of German words in the Hebrew language. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, once again.
No, we said okay. That's nice. Yeah.
That's interesting. I never knew that.
And for a few days I broke my water bladder, and I wasn't hydrated at all. I realized that I really need this thing above my shoulder just to do like a few zips every few minutes, because I normally on like a normal day with around 30 to 40 Celsius degree, I was drinking 6 to 8 liters. This is like the common water amount that you need because it's so hot and you sweat a lot. And even with 2 hours of sunbreak in the middle of the day, you need a lot of water. And I realized that I can't stay hydrated if I don't have this on my shoulder and always need to put like the bottle out and in. So I got a new one on the trail because my I didn't know how this connection thing called. It broke on the trail, And after a few days, I got a new one. I was really blessed that I got a new one, and it helped me to stay hydrated.
Yeah, for sure. Was it easy to get water along the route?
Yeah, it was of course in the desert part is a little bit tough, and you really need to plan where you can get it. But normally, and this is like the Bible, the red book, it's really good. And there's also an application that you can download for iPhone or for Android, where you have like all the water sources that that you can walk to. And in Germany, it is not so normal that when you have a water filter system in the landscape, that you also have like um, a sink to put to fill up your water bottle. We don't have this in Germany, but in Israel you have it like everywhere, where you have like a water spring or anything. There's also a sink that you can refill your bottles or everything. So I mean, it's a hot country, and they have like a lot of military, and they have like a lot of bases. So of course they have a lot of water spots, and they already thought about it, and you can just use them. Yeah, I think I had one time where my water bladder broke, and I lost like 4 liters in my backpack, and I had like 3 more hours to the next spring. I had a lot of like there was a time where I had like really stressed to control my water and to say, okay, I can't drink anymore because I have like 2 more hours. And this was like a really stressed situation for me. But normally you have like once or twice or at least every second day a place where you can refill your water and to calculate. Yeah, very well.
Okay.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, definitely.
I have like 2 more things here. One is my merino wool inlay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And this
okay. Yeah.
saved me in the desert because I didn't expect that it's. I know that it's cold in the night in the desert, but I didn't realize that it's getting like so cold in the night. And this thing is like I think 20 grams or 20 or 30 grams, so it's like nothing on weight. But it saves you like 3 to 4 degree, and 3 to 4 degree to have it like on top of you. It's like really worth it. Yeah, so it's like nothing but warm and nice just to like have something to hop in during the night.
Oh, no.
Yeah, next to my sleeping bag.
Perfect.
Yeah. And the last thing, my last year is my red book. This book is like the hiking book. As you can see, I didn't rip it off.
No.
Couldn't. I know a lot of hikers like throw them out and burn them or use them for whatever. I couldn't because I use it as my how to say
Diary as well?
yeah, yes, exactly. It's my diary. So I had like a lot of notifications, and it was the thing that like went with me all this path, and I couldn't destroy it. Yeah.
Can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. And on an average day, how many kilometers did you hike?
It really changed a lot. In the mountains, I had a few days where I only hiked like 10 kilometers, but I was awake for like 16 hours. So it was really a tough day. But on an average day, with not so much altitude or whatever, around 30 kilometers to 35 kilometers. This was my average. Yeah. Yeah.
That's quite good.
But it always changed. I always try to see how I feel, and even if the book is like splitted in, I think 40 parts, 40, something like this. I always choose how I feel and if I go over it. And sometimes I took like 2 days on one, or I hiked only a half day of their system, or yeah. So it's nice to have some orientation, but it's nothing that I planned on. And then there are also like a few things who are just fixed and that you need to respect. For example, doing this nature reservation, how to call like this protected areas. There are some protected nature areas. There you have only like 1 or 2 night spots, and then you need to hike until there.
Yeah.
Or you can't sleep outside, or the ranger will get mad at you if they find you in the night. So this was the only days where I didn't go with my flow, just with the rules that they are in this area. Yeah.
And the rest of the trail, except for those nature reserves, you could just do how do you call it, wild camp?
Yeah, just camp wherever.
Camp wherever.
Yeah. It's really nice in Israel. It's most of the time it's allowed to camp everywhere where you want. Also on the beach. So this was one of the nicest parts, where you sleep on the beach and have like the sky above you. There are also parts, especially when you hike closer to Tel Aviv, where it's not allowed to camp. But at the beginning of this beach part, there are a lot of areas where you're allowed to camp everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, just in the desert and some protecting parts before. There you're not allowed to sleep wherever you want. But most of the time you can wild camp everywhere.
Well, that's perfect. Yeah.
They also have like a lot of army bases, and then of course they also need to be careful and to ask sometimes, just to walk next to the base and ask like, "Hey, is it okay, or do you make some trainings tonight?" Because then you don't want to stay in this area. But, actually, it's really scared if you're getting in a training, because they don't close the area during this time when they have like a when they have their training thing, and you just realize, okay, they're laying some people right and next to me on the ground. Are you okay, people? You have a lot of weapons, and okay, I'm just hiking. If you don't say anything, I will be fine. And they didn't stop me, so I just went through the field and said like, "Hi, and how are you doing?" Yeah.
Oh, it must have been such a strange experience, though.
Yes. At the beginning, I was a little bit. It was strange, or a little bit irritating to have like all the people in their uniforms, because in Germany it's not so usual to see the army when they leave the base. They put normally their casual clothes on. The difference is in Israel, the army are allowed to take any public bus or transportation for free if they have the university. How to call the uniform on. So they wear always the uniform just to get the free transportation. And sometimes it depends on which unit they are, the weapon is part of their uniform. So they carry also this weapon in the bus or in the train. And if you're from Germany, you're not used to have weapons in the train or in the bus at all. But so for the first few days, I was sometimes not afraid, but I was like, this is different. But after the first few weeks, I got really used to it, and I also started to feel protected because of them. Because if you have like a lot of army and official people around you, you start feeling just safe and protected, and just think, okay, if anything happens, I have someone to talk to, and someone official.
Someone who can help you as well.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned that you tended to hike early in the morning because it was cooler. During the day, it was quite hot, around 40 degrees Celsius. Were there any days that it was completely different? Did you have a completely different type of weather?
Yeah, the days where you stay at Trail Angels, because Trail Angels, and really they deserve this name, they are real angels. So they are this officially lists online, where you have like in order of all the cities and all the towns, you have this Trail Angel listed with a name, with an number and what they give you. So, for example, here's some who says sleep, shower, water, food, Wi-Fi, groups allowed. And then you can call them like 1 or 2 days ahead and said like, hi, I'm hiking the trail. I'm 1 or 2 people. We would show up in your town tomorrow. Do you have space for the night? And then they can say yeah or no. And you have like this list of these trail angels. And if they welcome you, most of them are, no, all that I met, they are really, really angels. And they just, I mean, they're in their all day-to-day business, and they have like kids who do their homework and they need to cook and they do the laundry. And in the middle of this, there are these 2 hikers smelling like shit, doing a lot of mess because you are messy after 3 or 4 days in the nature, and they're staying so calm and relaxed and just welcome you to their home and to their family and be part of it. And then most of the time we had like really, really awesome dinners together, and then in the morning you don't start at 5 a.m. because they ask you really kindly if you want to have breakfast with them, and then you don't say no. So then you do like a huge breakfast, and then it's like 9 or 10 in the morning, and then you say like, okay, now we really need to hike to get some kilometers crushed today. Yeah, so this was the normal days. Or so you also like sleep in. I wouldn't do this on the trail, but with trail angels you sleep in, and yeah, this was unusual from the normal trails. Trail days.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds amazing though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, these people are so lovely. They are really I was really blessed with the people who I met, and there are also people who said, okay, I don't have the time to put my name online, but when you hike through a village, for example, I had it one night when I hiked with my other friend Lisa. I met her on the trail. We were just like running through a village just to get the supermarket, to get to the supermarket to resupply, because we said, okay, we really want to do like 3 or 4 kilometers in the evening before we try to set up our night spot or camp. And we were like running through the village, but of course we were kind and polite, and we were like saying hi and how are you doing, like to the right and to the left, like everyone who we saw. And there was this one guy who was sitting in a car, and we also said like hi, and then they start to follow us with the car, and we were like, oh, this is a little bit strange.
Yeah.
And then he stopped and he said like, hi, I'm sorry, I just want to know, do you have a spot for the night? We were like, no, we are fine, we just want to sleep in the forest. And we just I think it was like only 2 days ago that we went to a trail angel to get like a shower and to clean up our stuff. And he was like, no, please, my wife and I, we would be, it would be a pleasure to have you at our home, and please, can I invite you? And we're like, okay, and these are the moments where you have like 5 seconds to decide your belly feeling, are you feeling okay with this or not? Because we could also say like, no, we are fine, we're just going to the supermarket, and then we are off to the forest. But we said yes, and this was one of the best evenings that I ever had, because especially because you don't have always the hikers with them. He was really, really kind, and he just invited us to his home. So we went inside his car, and in the car he already called his wife, and Lisa, my friend who was with me, she already spent a social year in Israel, so she could speak Hebrew, and she translated me later that he told his wife on the phone in the car like, yeah, I have 2 hikers, please put up some warm dinner, and please can you make the guest house for them and prepare everything, because we have guests for the night. And then we arrived at the house, and then he sat down with us on the balcony, and we had a conversation for like 3 or 4 hours, and he was really open-minded. And this was one of the kind of people where you just feel welcome, and that you can ask like every question. I said sometimes you have like people where you're maybe afraid to ask some questions, or you don't know if it's polite to ask some religious or political questions. Or this was one of the guys who's just like, come on, tell me, girls, I realize you have something on your mind, or however you say. And we asked him like all the questions that we collected during the last few weeks about the religion and the culture and the festivals and the borders and all the army thing. And he really took the time just to sit down with us two stinky girls to have like a really good and deep conversation. And yeah, just to make us a home for a few hours. And it wasn't planned, but it was really, really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really nice for sure. It's really
Yeah.
it's good as well to be flexible and then be open for these kind of things for sure. Will be a
Yeah.
shame to miss out if you're too rigid and too set on just hiking and going your way. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've only done like 3 or 4 days as I planned how I wanted to hike them. And then you have some good conversation during lunchtime, or then you have like a really good day and you're just feeling good and you like 5 more kilometers, or sometimes you just don't feel like hiking and then you just lay in the sun or in the shadow and just enjoy some chocolate bars and just do nothing.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So how, because
Yeah.
you mentioned in the beginning that you only had 9 days from making this decision to actually being on the trail. So how, like, the preparation was extremely short, but did you, what's the word? Make it up on the fly? Like from day one, you just started to walk and then in the evening you prepared for day 2, or how did that work? How?
During the trail or before?
Yeah, maybe the whole process.
Okay. So I told you that I read this book about the trail, and then I started to read like a lot of blogs and try to get like into all like to get like all the information in that I can get.
Yeah.
And then I had a lot of luck because this thing I ordered it and it was 7 days of delivering time. I was like, oh please deliver before I leave this country. So Germany at this time.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of information who comes with this book. They also have like an online ebook with all the informations before that they are not inside this book, but there's also like a big ebook that you can download. And so there I got most of the informations, and there are also like a lot of recommendations about how you set how much food you need, how you should prepare. And during the first 3 to 4 days, it was always like, okay, I start in the morning, I try to survive until the evening, and then I try to pack everything or build like my night, set up my night spot, and then do it again in the morning. And I really learned on the trail like how I prepare my food, when I want to eat, what I want to eat. I didn't have a stove with me. I was one of the few hikers without a stove because I don't know how to use them. So I said like, okay, I don't take it with me. I mean, there's only 9 days of preparation, so I don't need to learn how to use the stove if I could survive without it. And I survived without it. And after like 7 to 10 days, I got really into my kind of system and routine on the, okay, I wake up, I only have a few dates to get like my sugar up, and then I hike for at least 3 to 4 or 5 kilometers. Then I sit down, have a real breakfast with like oats and peanut butter or some fruits if I just got them again on the trail.
Yeah.
Then I like put everything together. Then I hike until 12 or 1 a.m. 1 p.m. And then I was really looking for a good for a really good shadow place just to stay there at least 1 to 2 hours just to sleep and to get some rest and to wait till the sun comes down again. And then I hike until 5 or 6, and then I eat something. And sometimes I was like, oh, okay, you can do like 2 more kilometers, but most of the time I finished my day after my lunch and just went to bed, and then I started over again at 5 o'clock. But it took me like, yeah, I would say 7 to 10 days to get this routine. Yeah, and I learned how I would like to schedule my day on the trail. I didn't plan this before because there are a lot of different hikers out there, and if you look, if you watch like 5 different YouTube videos, you will see like 5 different schedules and 5 different kinds of hiking or experience.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's really personal.
Do you feel that you would have liked more time to prepare, or do you feel that no matter how long you prepare, you always learn more on the trail, depending on how you feel, how the trail goes?
I think it's 50-50. I think I would like to have like a few more weeks just to set my gear up and to see, okay, where can I reduce some weight? I dropped a lot on the trail. So for example, I started with like 5 pair of underwear. At the end, I had like 2. So I had like one on and one like the dry one on my backpack, cleaning it in the night. So I dropped a lot on the trail, a lot of stuff that I don't need. But I also would like to have some time before just to see if my boots and my trail runners are made for this kind of weight. After the first 300 kilometers, I destroyed my first pair of trail runners, so I need to get a new one on the trail. And then I know. I mean, normally people wear like shoes and to get like warm the feet up and warm the shoe up. I done this on the trail.
Yeah.
This is what you shouldn't done. I did it. I survived. It was like 1 or 2 blisters. Yeah, like blisters. Genau. I got. But I think I learned a lot on the trail, and I think it wouldn't be so much fun if I would prepare more. I'm lucky that I'm a really like sporty girl. I always do running. I've had a lot of marathon training before, so I was physically fit, but I was not prepared for this kind of exercise and not of this gear. And this was like the struggle where I would like to have a few more days to prepare.
No, definitely. And if you could give one tip to others that are looking forward to hiking the Israel National Trail, what would that be?
Be open-minded to everyone who comes to you, and enjoy your trail, because the Israel National Trail is a trail that you will enjoy if you will let all the luck and all the things that happen on the trail come to you, and don't chase anything. You don't need to achieve the final destination. You don't need to achieve a special milestone. Be open and try to let it come to you.
Yeah, be a part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
And what was the one piece of gear that you can't go without or can't do without?
My head. It was so. I didn't have this typical head who's going around. I had like a normal cap, like the base cap.
Yeah.
And I would do it again. I don't need to look like a hiker, and I never burnt my ears, so I'm fine with a normal base cap. Most of the people getting the head just because of the neck, but I never had any sunburn issues or stuff like this. Yeah, I think my head was pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to go without one for sure.
No, you're not. Whatsoever.
Or everyone would see you like miles before you arrive, just because there's something red coming through you.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, it depends how dusty I get, then it becomes a bit mad, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's next? Do you have any plans for, or did you hike any trails after that, or any plans for other hiking trails in the future when travel is allowed again?
After the Israel National Trail, I could finally fly to South America, and I hiked a lot of trails in Peru and in Bolivia. Not like the big one, not like the few 100 kilometers, but just the day treks
Yeah.
and maybe one night. And this was really nice, and I really enjoyed this hike there, just to be in my mini routine back again. After this, I only done a few day hikes or only some weekends. This week we just stayed in the forest because we had snow this week in Germany. Surprise, surprise! We can also have snow in the west of Germany. So we just packed up our gear in the morning and just like drive a few kilometers to the next parking spot and just dropped our car there and then went to the forest, slept in the snow, and just came back in the next day. So this was really nice during the last few days. Actually, all my plans that I had for the next few years, I started to let them go, because how you see, like the pandemic, you can't plan anything. And I would really like to hike a trail in Corsica in France. It's a small island,
Yeah.
the course, and it's called the E5, and it's really nice trail with a lot of altitude and a lot of mountains. But this is what I really like to hike one day. And there's another trail in Sweden. You also have it on in your shop. This is one of the trails that I really like to hike one day, but I'm not expecting a special time or anything like this. I think, especially in this pandemic, we just need to take day by day to see what comes next.
Yeah.
Just don't know how the future will look like in that
What it
sense.
will look like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Things who are always possible are the hikes here in Germany, or most of them, not always. I shouldn't say this, but most of the time it's possible. I have a lot of friends in the south of Germany, and I'm always welcome there. I have a few friends in Switzerland. This is the big pro if you live in Europe and in Germany. The mountains and the other countries are so close, and it's less than a day trip to get there. My friends already said, like, okay, you need to come over if we are allowed to meet one more guy in the moment, or if you are allowed to stay overnight somewhere. Then I'm definitely off doing the next few months just to hike some more small, tiny trails there.
Yeah.
But nothing big.
No.
Sounds amazing, though.
Sounds good. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Perfect. Anything else that you want to share in the sense of hiking or the Israel National Trail that we didn't touch on?
Of course, I would like to invite the people to hike the Israel National Trail. If they hike the trail, they can contact me. It would be it would be fun, I guess, to see that people hike the trail. Maybe because of this interview, that would be really cool, but I don't expect this. This would be nice, like if people start to comment or have a good conversation under the interview.
No, definitely.
Yeah,
So how can the people watching this find you then?
I'm using Instagram, and my name is Caroline.Schmidt 2306, but I think you can blend it just in.
We'll put it in the video. Yeah.
Exactly. It would be a pleasure if they contact me or send me some photos from the trail. I really miss Israel, and I miss the food. Oh my gosh, the food is so good there. I miss the heat. I'm really a heat person, and I prefer the sun instead of the mountains and the snow. Yeah, so it would be nice to see some spots again that I already hiked through.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was really a pleasure to talk with you, and thank you so much for walking us through the Israel National Trail. It sounds amazing, and
Yeah, it
definitely
sounds really
another
exciting.
trail I
too.
think on
You're
our
welcome.
list as well.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure for me. Thank you so much for inviting me. I thought there would be like a lot of other people who already talked about this trail, but here we are. I'm the first one on this
Definitely.
talk.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed that interview as much as we did. If you have an amazing story to share yourself, we would love to hear from you. Please reach out to us either via the comments below or reach us via contact@tellyourtrail.com. And we'll see you next time.
Be adventurous.